Focus. Ideate. Innovate. Enable.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We welcome you all to ICICI Bank and CNBC TV 18's India Business Summit Leaders Speak. The initiative is a part of a series of high-powered city summits, which would be hosted in India's 6 major cities throughout the year. The city summits seek to bring together admired leaders to explore future strategies that can put India and its corporate sector on an exponential growth trajectory, establishing them as the forerunners in the global business ecosystem. Well, the next 2 hours are power-packed with insightful dialogues and discussions. We are privileged to have with us visionaries and disruptors, and also an esteemed panel that will shine spotlight on how Indian manufacturers are embracing Industry 4.0 to survive technology-led disruption, and also explore how technology is helping the manufacturing sector stay relevant in a globalized economy. It gives us great pleasure to flag off the summit at Pune. To set the tone for the evening, I would like to request Lata Venkatesh, Executive Editor, CNBC TV 18, to deliver the welcome address.
Ladies and gentlemen, watching what you want, when you want, to the extent you want, on your fingertips, is the technology that has disrupted CNBC TV 18. Our genre is shrinking because people want things in the palm of their hand and are getting it. Welcome to India Business Summit Leaders Speak. This is exactly what we are going to discuss. CNBC feels disrupted when the rate of change outside is faster than the rate of change inside. And this, we now realize, is not just our problem because of the invasion of digital, but it is the problem in every industry. The India Business Summit Leaders Speak kicks off this initiative. This is the first of a series that we will have. And in every city, we are going to invite captains of industry, enterprising entrepreneurs who have looked at disruption in the eye, challenged it, and overcome it. I welcome you all to this first summit. We are in for an intellectual treat. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great and enriching evening. Thank you.
But today we have with us Ms. Vishakha Mule, Executive Director of ICICI Bank, who presently heads the Wholesale Banking Group. Please put your hands together for Ms. Vishakha Mule.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Let me start with talking about the genesis of today's program. The business models are changing, the regulations in which all of us are operating is changing, and more importantly, the change which is happening is at a very, very high speed and high accuracy. If you look at these changes, they will bring challenges, but at the same time, there are big opportunities as well as we go along. We thought it's a good time for us to take a pause and look at the themes which will actually shape the new India. The high-powered summit, which we have organized, will be hosted across 6 cities in India and will bring together the industry leaders to discuss, debate, and deliberate the future strategies. The summit will culminate when Finance 15, a stellar event that we propose to hold somewhere around October, November this year, to actually recognize and celebrate the country's finest leaders in business, economy, and finance. Today's theme, as Lata said, is going to be technology disruption, staying relevant through innovation. As I said, the environment is changing around us at an accelerated pace as never before. Many of these changes have been made possible by the advent of technology. The technology is disrupting everything in today's life, in both our personal as well as professional lives. We can see changes evident everywhere. On one hand, there are new needs which are emerging, which are being met by the new business models. At the same time, there are old needs which are also being met by the new models because of the disruption. I would say that the environment is evolving. Businesses will have a great opportunities as we go forward to leverage on this changing environment by innovating and using technology as a driver to find the new business models to meet the customer needs and better customer satisfaction. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vishakha, for those insights. Well, we would now like to invite our guest speaker for the evening.
My work and journey in Ladakh has been mainly around issues like social, environmental, and to do that, finding original solutions, which often are the simplest that you overlook rather than not even look. So solutions need not be rocket science all the time. So this is Ladakh in the top north of the country, beyond the Himalayas, and therefore trans-Himalayan, we call it. And it's in the rain shadow of the Himalayas, so therefore a very dry desert, where in Ladakh, roughly 95% of the children used to fail all the time. So I chose to work on the education system. So therefore, we started working for those who were failing here in this school system. So we, for those who were so-called failures, conceived a school that will give them all this opportunity. We went to a patch of desert in the middle of nowhere here near Leh and started designing and creating a school together with the students. So a school with planning so that we could use gravity, for example, rather than machines and pumps and things. We could use trees to break the winds that bring us cold waves of wind. And in the next 5 years, with the students designing and building the school, we created this alternative school, which happens to be very different in many, many ways. To begin with, this is a school where the admission criteria is not marks and ranks in exams, but that you have failed in the conventional system. So this is completely solar-powered, natural material campus that we created. And the students, children, should learn in action. And what better than making them run the school itself? So therefore, this school is run by the students, preparing them for real life. They run it like a little country. Sun here solves most of the needs for energy, whether it is cooking with parabolic dishes that concentrate the sun and then you can cook, or greenhouses that produce fresh greens in a snowy winter, or buildings that are designed to naturally light, so you don't have to artificially use energy from polluting power plants, even in the day, so design can do that. Electricity that is needed is produced using photovoltaics, water heating, water pumping. All of this are done using the energy from the sun. So 3.5 years ago, together with my students, we started another project, this time to solve the water problems of the area. We have a peculiar situation in Ladakh. It's a desert. It's a high-altitude desert, and the only reason why life is possible there is not water, as you would know, but fossilized water from tens of thousands of years ago. And it's called glaciers. That's how we live. So glaciers melt and come down in streams, and our ancestors perfected the way to channelize them to deserts and green them and live off them. So we wanted to see if we can optimize the winter water that's going waste to be available in spring when everybody wants water. Now we wanted to freeze the winter water and keep it till May. We simply put a pipe upstream and brought it downstream. Being in the mountains, you have that luxury of finding a gradient which gives you gravity. And high school science says water always maintains its level. So the water in the pipe is pressured to go to the same level as the inlet, and therefore if you put a fountain, it sprays the water into the air, -20 air in winter. And as it sprays, the water loses what is called latent heat, another term that bothers us and does not much more. and therefore it loses that and becomes solid. That's what keeps a liquid liquid, latent heat. And therefore, you get to build an ice pyramid, and this one is 7 stories tall. If the fountain you can see held roughly 1 million liters of water. Now we wanted to see with this pilot and the prototype how long it lasts. And we were to be very happy if it lasted even till end of April, but this one lasted till July 6th, the ice, the last part.
It's now time to invite our keynote speaker for the evening.
I am from a village, and lucky are those who are born in a village, because villages teach you only practically everything. There are no theories in a village. And empty intestines teaches you the best of language, best of knowledge, best of things. And I was fortunate. I was from a village. I'm fortunate. My parents were very poor. I'm fortunate we were 5 children without any income in the family. That gives, from the beginning itself, a challenge, and I got used to challenge. And in my definition, success in life is delta. Delta is equal to x2 minus x1. x2 is where you are today. x1 was where you were that day. I had an x1 0. There was no downside for 0. I am most courageous man on this earth. Schools and colleges those days were not that easy. I wish to thank Mr. Kamraj, who was the chief minister then, who brought in meals to the schools, without which I would have not been a graduate, nor would have been a scientist, nor would have been an entrepreneur. Finally, I got a BSc done, maths, physics, chemistry. I went for jobs in Coimbatore city, and almost 50 interviews I have failed, only because every institute asked me only one stupid question: do you have an experience? I don't know which university gives experience. And I felt frustrated, and I took a decision that day itself. If I start a company of my own, I will take only freshers. I will not take an experienced one. Today, I have got 1,000 employees. For all the 1,000, I am the first employer. We don't recruit experienced inside the organization. By any chance, that all mistakes are done by only HR people, please note it. I got a job in a capsule manufacturing company there. Fortunately, that company also was closed down. So afterwards, I sat in the Jayanti Janta Express, and I came to Mumbai via Pune, reached VT railway station, and slept in VT railway station on August 18, 1920, 3 days in 1982, just because I didn't have a friend to receive with a smartphone, nor I had a credit card, nor I had a purse to keep the credit card. I just brought 500 rupees. Lucky are those who are born to poor, because success in life is delta. Delta is equal to x2 minus x1. My x1 was VT railway platform. I had nothing to lose. That time, I got a job in Baba Atomic Research Center as a scientist, and I was asked a question: where is thyroid? I said I was a maths, physics, chemistry student. No way I will know where is thyroid. I thought, I'm gone. Fortunately, they gave me the job. Mind you, the punchline here is, if you do what you have studied, you will survive. If you do what you have studied, you will survive. And if you do what you have not studied, you will be the leader. And I became the leader because in 20 years period, in 10 years time, I finished a PhD in thyroid biochemistry. And another 10 years, I am running world's largest thyroid testing laboratory. So I want all of you to understand, जिंदगी में एक ऑप्शन है, तो रीसेट बटन दबाने के लिए दबा डालो, आगे बहुत बढ़िया होएगा.
Here we have organizations which have to handle disruption. So it's a large number of people and a large ecosystem that they have to take with themselves. And yet all of them will have to handle disruption. So we have 2 manufacturers and 2 service providers to teach us how they are tackling disruption in large organizations. Andreas, we are told that the electric vehicle is round the corner. Probably by 2020, we are all going to be seeing more electric vehicles, or perhaps a reasonable number of electric vehicles. You know, the internal combustion engine is now over 100 years old. And Volkswagen and several other automobile companies will have to tackle something, totally different.
Electric vehicles is a good example because the electric vehicle is not a disruption. Electric vehicles are very old. The disruption in automotive is a combination of technologies coming, and it will change the business model of automotive. The most important thing, when I ask you what is the big advantage of Tesla, it's the connectivity. Tesla is the only one who has an internet platform at the moment working. They have fortunately not enough cars in the world that they can act like other platforms like Google and Amazon, but they will have. This is their target. And therefore they are challenging the automotive industry not with the electric engine. This is a very old one. They are challenging the automotive industry with a completely different business model. The big challenge is that new competitors come up. These are not the well-known everywhere. New ones have the chance to beat you, definitely. And you must be aware of this.
There are history of organizations that have survived these challenges. And clearly today the finance industry faces the biggest challenge from technology. It's a service industry. And you have this huge technology challenge. Until about 15 years ago, people went, as Vishakha said, to the bank branch. And probably in the last 10 years, most of us have not visited a branch at all. How do you train 80,000 people in a service industry to handhold people into such huge disruptive changes?
Kind of education you're talking of is not, it's not really required to happen across every section. You know, some of the examples that you've given is more to the front-end people facing, right? We address this in two ways. I think on the one side, most of these new technologies is very intuitive, you know, and the innovations that we talk about, the payment solutions we talk about, have a very similar kind of an orientation. It's very intuitive. You can actually pick up as a customer, but nonetheless, we use technology tools to e-learnings and stuff and programs like that to give the basics to our staff.
Viren, let me come to you on the matter. For smaller organizations, the change is forced by someone else. So how is it? Is it that organizations like yours have to always employ cutting-edge technology people? Where do you concentrate when you look for disruption, to face disruption?
When I joined about 6 years ago, I did not know what disruption was going to come. I had no clue of what Industry 4.0 was. I just felt that I need to take the organization to the next level and prepare ourselves. So we went into a much deeper version of what I call lean enterprise. So I focused on the manufacturing and the whole organization, from leaning it out and making the processes better. And on the other side, improving the skill set of our people. So those are the two areas that we focus on deeply in preparation.
Brijesh, how do you tackle disruptive technology?
You know that all our projects get delayed, the cost overruns are there, the quality is bad, the maintenance is not good, the projects don't achieve the objectives which they are meant for. So that is the main issue, and we are trying to fix that.
Lata, if I may just add, as a bank, we work a lot with the government, and he's absolutely right. So you need to identify their pain points, identify their goals and objectives, and then use technology to align with that. And often it is transparency, saving costs, more efficiency, less reconciliation, straight-through processing, and so on and so forth.
We have heard from several stalwarts about how to take technology head-on, be the disruptor yourself, be a standard in quality so that you're able to welcome every disruption as an opportunity. Thank you very much for an extremely enlightening and interesting evening, Dr. Wangchu and Dr. Velumani as well, and everyone on my panel. We will continue in our 6 other cities where we will continue this discussion on technological disruption and staying ahead of it.
Focus, ideate, innovate, enable.